Donate.
Ah.
Yeah. Well, we are here. Emily, how is having a chance to breathe for about 24 hours?
I mean, in an ideal world, I would have liked to have taken a day off, gone to Selfridges, got my brows done, got my eyelashes done. But no, I was in the office first thing this morning. There's so much to be doing right now, just leading up to the World Ball Championship. Um, just lots going on, which is quite frightening but exciting at the same time. But yeah, we had a really, really successful event. Sometimes you come away from it and it takes a while to take it all in and appreciate everything that's gone into it. I mean, it's like being on a high sort of thing when you're at these events. Everyone who's working on them, and even the players, well, maybe not so much catchy, but everyone runs off of no sleep. No one, sleeps or anything like that. Everyone's just going off of adrenaline. And then you come to like a down sort of thing at the end. But it was fantastic. The team that we had on site, I just, want to say a shout out to the actual multi-sport team who are there for 9-10 days straight, because obviously we've got the build leading up to, they don't leave the site. They're just there relentless in Milton Keynes in a hotel room. I mean, anyone who spends 10 days with a group of people, you want to kill them at the end of it anyway, even if they're your family. So I just want to shout out to those people because they're the ones that behind the scenes get everything done. Even like the referees on the last day, both John and Marcel had to kind of go through that between themselves. The score officials, they really stepped up this week and took on a new system quite last minute that they were sort of approached with the day before and had a few teething problems, and which wasn't their fault at all. It was all technical. So I just want to give those people a shout out first of all, because without them, obviously, it wouldn't have been a success. And then the players, I mean, they were all there at the end, had a beer with one another, and it's even nice to see the likes of Shane and Jason actually just talking with one another. And
you don't see that often.
No, and in a nice, in like a way that's good for the sport. I mean, there was a good 30 minutes where we were on the practice table having a look at different breaks. They're explaining certain breaks at what happens at events when players are template racking, when referees are, and other ways that we could get a more competitive break. And it's just nice to be able to have that kind of atmosphere. And I think at the events like a Premier League pool, where it is kind of behind closed doors and it's a bit more relaxed, you invite that kind of atmosphere where the players can kind of relax backstage. It's literally just the production crew, and it's the players sort of wandering around. It's, they're not getting hassled, or they can just sit back and relax. And they're all really great. We had, like I said, teething problems from day one on the production, and they took it in their stride. We had problems with the shot clock, and they just, they get told that there's a situation, or we switch a match because it's better to have the Americans in the evening, for instance. And the scheduling is obviously all based on time difference and broadcasters, and we schedule matches and we change them around. We stitched David Al-Kaidi up one day, and even Max Lettner was forced to play a game too many on day one, and that was just, like a human error, and I'll even take responsibility for that. So the players really, really just, if something happens, they take it, and it's just really good to see. And that's why they're the best in the world. So a really, really good event, and really happy with it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I part of me, I'm happy it's over because now I get some production back. I actually get to do something for a change without at least looking over here and over here. And then part of it, it's like, well, now what am I supposed to do with my life? It's like I'm sure at the end of it, I mean, it's a great event. Albin wins. Do you think that I think Albin probably stays in better shape than most of the players in pool at this point? I mean, he's constantly exercising, running, doing all that stuff. Do you think that helps him when you're going through a grind like that?
Well, I think put it into your own perspective. If you know, in the Moscone Cup, for instance, I probably go and work out more than I would at any other event because it gets your head in the game. It just clears your head. And even Jason Shaw, he had a bad day. I think it was on the 5th or the 6th day, or the 6th day. He felt like he was having a really bad day. And he said he went to bed really like angry. He felt like the world was against him. And he went to the gym the next morning. He like got his aggression out, sort of thing. And I think for every person, there's that element of whether it's going out for a run for like Ronnie O'Sullivan or even El Strickland, whether it's going to the gym, going on a boxing bag, you know, these are the things that help us all. But Albin, I think, who was it that said it? I think Jason said it. We can't all have flat stomachs like Albin. But he is in good shape. And sometimes I was watching that final and I was watching some of his matches earlier and I was like, I just don't think he can win it because of how up and down he goes, the emotions he shows, even though he's so ice cold at certain times. I just think, no, he's not going to. It feels like he's not given up, but there's like an element of he's just absolutely KO'd and he won't be able to do it. But then he just turns it around for you and he surprises you, and he is the one that has that stamina that will get you through. And it's kind of like, if you compare it to a boxing match, he's probably the one that is literally, he is going to round 12 and he is just working his way, he is grinding, and he might get knocked down 5 times throughout that, but he gets to round 12 and he's there left standing holding the belt, sort of thing. So that's where that Premier League kind of format, I think, just works really well for him. And the Jason, Shane, they weren't there last year, and neither was Josh Villa. So all 4 of those, all 3 of those that weren't there before hadn't really experienced that kind of format. So Albin definitely had a slight edge there. But he's a deserved winner. He's a fantastic player. And I think this tournament really, really, it had the best of the best. Of the top players, and it just really showed, you know, who was going to come through and why these players are the best.
Yep, that's been that's the biggest change in Albin over the last 10 years, the biggest positive change, that he actually can reset a lot quicker. He used to get much more angrier. He used to be throwing news around. It used to get really quite, you know, scary.
Oh, really?
But now he's calmed down. He still gets angry, but he resets a lot quicker. He doesn't let it affect him for a longer period of time. And like in any tournament play, what a player does in between matches is just as important as what they do during the match, because you have to be able to refresh, you have to be able to reset, you have to be able to forget about something negative that's happened. And if you can't do that, then it is going to wear you down, and it is going to, you know, certainly in a long 8 days, you've got to be using your energies in a positive way. If you let it get you down, it can be a real big roll. We saw what happened to Kachi. You know, he didn't go off to a good start, and it just snowballed from there. And you know, he showed that, you know, as good as he is and as ice cold as he seems, he let it get to him, and you know, he's good. He'll learn from that. I hope. I'm sure he had a little bit of a talking to from from Emily at something. No, you didn't say anything to him about it.
No, I don't think I needed to. I think
even the turning up late.
No, he got Dr. Rack, so I didn't even need to say anything. And you know what? That's what I love about the structure that we've put into place now. Obviously, it's going to take a bit of time, but hiring, you know, a tournament director, Rob Spencer, who's really taken sort of the bull by the horns, should I say. He's come over from snooker. He's a qualified snooker referee. He's not a pool referee, and he knows that. But he's used to the snooker environment. And we sat those players down and we said, anyone's late to the match, this is what happens. And, you know, there's a few laughs and giggles because we're all staying in the same venue. You literally walk down 2 flights of stairs to get to the venue from the hotel room. There's actually nowhere where you can really go. And, you know, everyone laughed about it, but I remember it. So this is all happening at the time. And Rob Spencer comes out, he's late for his match, and he docks him a rack, and rightly so. And Kachi's response was, well, no one was knocking on my door. No one came to wake me up. What do you think I am, your fucking mother? I'm not going to come knocking on your door to come and wake you up. You should be down. If I don't turn up for a meeting, I'm not going to call my mum and say that's your fault. You should have woken me up this morning. You got to set your alarm clock. You got to get out of bed. You got to get showered, and you got to get down. And I think my colleague Matt, he called Catchy and said, "Look, where are you?" And he said, "How long do I have?" And Rob's in the background and said, "Listen, you're getting docked another rack in 5 minutes' time." So I suggest you. So that's the situation.
He's never moved so quick in his life, probably.
No, he shot downstairs. So I didn't need to say a word to him. The players know. Look, you get told this is the rules. And I hope everyone starts realizing this is going to be how things are taken. We've got to, step into the professional light. And you either got to come with us or, that's it. This is a professional sport now. You don't turn up late for your match because you slept in when the venue's on site. I understand if there was a phone call 30 minutes before and, I've been stuck, the taxi didn't turn up, this and that. He had no excuse and he knows it. And I think he was probably just embarrassed, but he didn't need telling. I think he knew.
I think he needs a manager or somebody to hold his hand a little bit, because it always seems to happen to Catchy. If he needs a visa, he doesn't get it organised in time, or his passport expires, or there's always something that happens to him and he can't get to events over the last couple of years. And now he can't get out of bed. I think we need somebody to travel with him and do all. Then all you need to do is play pool. You just go there, play pool, pop balls, and I'll take care of the rest for you, and everyone will be all right. I think that's what you need.
He needs a manager or a wife, probably.
Exactly, a babysitter.
I think Imran said it. I think Imran said it perfectly. Kachi needs himself a Pia.
Oh,
yeah, he needs a Pia. Yeah. I'm sure he's got a few of them got around in different countries.
We won't get into that, but I think at the end of the day, if you want to be a professional, then be a professional.
Be a professional, of course.
It's pretty easy. So
that's probably the best way to deal with it. Don't make a big deal to him about it. Just say, okay, that's a rule. Done. Get on with it.
I think the best thing that we can do now is any rules we put into place is that we implement them and we back them up. And if they're not right, or we make a balls up as such, then we take that on. But the players knew what the rules were, and it is what it is. And so all we got to do is we have to keep paving the way to educate the players and to teach them. But you're only going to learn if we actually start docking racks. The snooker's been on today, so it's confused the hell out of me. I think it was the best thing we could have done. And it's good that it's happened, because it's hopefully taught him a bit of a lesson. But I did feel for him. He was tired. You could tell he was tired as soon as he turned up. And he said, I shouldn't have traveled. I should have got prepared for this tournament. But he's learned, and he'll know next time. Yeah. And the thing is, with the rankings, you got no chance now. You can't base yourself on invite now. You've got to get through on the rankings, and he's got to be careful, and players do have to be careful that, next year when you're looking at Premier League ball, it's the top 12 off of the rankings. So if you're not going to go along and get your ranking points, you're not getting in.
And your spot.
So here's a question based off of that, of course, because COVID, China's been shut down, even Taiwan to a lesser degree. Is there going to be any way that the Chinese and Taiwanese players are going to be grandfathered into the rankings? Or are they just going to be kind of on the outside, having to work their way in?
Well, we've got so a lot of the Taiwanese players are starting to play in the next events the Matchroom events that are coming up. So I don't think we're going to have to do that. I think the good thing about our entry system is that, yes, we are trying to start a meritocracy and we are pushing the ranking system. But for instance, the World Pool Masters is the top 20 and 4 wildcards. So if it gets to the point of next year, for instance, where some of the Chinese players haven't been able to come over, then we still have the wildcards in factor to try and do that, instead of trying to manipulate the rankings on something that is kind of out of our control. But the Taiwanese players, the Ko brothers are starting to play in the next events that we've got coming up. which I think is really positive for moving forward. And I think we're going to start moving into a different direction, so we can hopefully see a more global ranking system. So fingers crossed for it, really.
And I mean, I always love the wild cards, because then we get to, I don't think Kelly's just outside, I guess, the top 20. So I always like to see that the women get a couple of wild cards out of that too. So hopefully we don't give them all to the Chinese or Taiwanese players. We still allow at least a woman in there. I like seeing that.
Yeah, of course, and it's one of the reasons why we hold wild cards back. We are trying to create a tour, and we are trying to create a meritocracy, and you get in based off of order of merit. But again, we are a promoter at the end of the day, and we have characters out there that we want to make sure are in these events, and we've got to make these events interesting. So I think that for this year, we've found a very good balance between World Pool Masters isn't just straight invites, and World Cup of Pool and even the Moscone Cup. It's trying to find that balance between the two, which we're only going to try and learn from and see what happens with this year. But I think we found very good balance, and everyone will be very pleasantly surprised for moving forward.
Going on the World Cup of Pool, it's a little bit later on in the year.
Mm-hmm.
Will you be? Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's going to be 32 countries based on the ranking. Top player in the ranking, their country then gets in. I think I'm not sure how far in the ranking it goes. If it goes to 24 or 16 or.
Well, it is a little bit hazy, because the World Cup of Pool was that event where obviously 32 countries, 64 players are all in based off of invite. Previous years there was like qualifications that happened, and then years before that it was some federations. It's been very messy sort of thing, but we've listened to some of the federations' feedback about having involvement in the Matchroom events, for instance, because now we've taken on the World Pool Championship. That was the one that had the heavy spots for the different federations. So for the World Cup of Pool this year, we're going to be giving the WPA 16 countries to nominate. So the WPA nominates the 16, and then they have the players to nominate. But they must respect the Nineball rankings when nominating those players. So, you can't put forward a country and have two players in there that aren't even listed on our Nineball pool rankings.
Or pick two players, and there's another player from that country who is listed and he gets not in, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just, we want to, and I think everyone is respecting the rankings, and it's hard because there's only 32 players on there at the moment with 8 players as a top up. So we've also done 8 countries, the 8 top countries on our rankings, which we can't really do until we get the allocations through, and with 8 further wildcards. So it's quite, it feels it's a bit messy, but it's got an element of structure to it. And we're just going to try and see, what happens. It might be that, it doesn't really work out, or we see the start of something that's going to work very well. And hope, obviously, for next year, we'll have more of a definitive rankings, and we'll actually have more than 40 players that are on there. Whereas, we're going into the World Pool Championship next month, in April, and we only have 32 seeds on our rankings. Whereas for a World Championship event, you'd want to seed half of the field and 64 players. We don't even have 64 players on our 2022 rankings. So we are kind of finding our feet and trying to sort of work on it, and to provide anything that changes or that we're thinking about, trying to be transparent about it. But we're also learning a little bit as we're going, but we're trying to do everything that's as fair for everyone as possible, and trying to think about everything. So yeah, we're coming away from this just straight invite, and it's trying to be qualification. It's trying to bring in the federations, and it's trying to bring everyone together, because we know that we can't turn the sport into something that we want it to be without everyone's input. So we're trying to get everyone together. That's the plan.
Well, I think the obvious thing, I guess, to state out of that is why not go from 32 to maybe 48? Is
Don't be so
that
greedy.
potentially in the future?
Oh, for the World Cup or the
Yeah, for the World Cup.
World Cup of Pool, 48 teams.
I thought
it's got to be in the plans eventually, right?
Well, I think I'm one step ahead of you, Nate. I have a note written down from yesterday of 64 countries on my
64.
on my,
You get 60. You're talking about 60. Well, let's say the home nation gets 2, so you're talking about 63.
Shut up, Jim.
Countries. How?
Shut up, Jim.
Because my question to you is going to be, assuming that the home nation gets 2 teams, so you have a GB, A, and B. Do you think under these? I mean, looking at what happened last time. Okay, Canada made a little bit of an error in their travel plan, shall we say? With the travel, I'm being politically correct. But with the travel situation, do you think you can get 31 individual countries to make it over to the UK for the World Cup?
Yeah, of course. If the prize money,
do you have a contingency in case it can't happen?
I mean, like I'm saying this. I'm like, this is a note for moving forward. You know, this year it's going to be 32 countries. This is just a doodle on my sheet that I've noted down just to try and expand the World Cup of Pool. You know, we want to try and take it overseas, and we want to try and get more countries involved because it's a global sport, and that's what we want to turn it into. And everyone loves the World Cup of Pool. I'm trying to listen to the players' feedback about, you know, certain countries having to fly however many hours to come for a race to 7. How do we make it maybe a round robin? Or so I'm just, you know, there's loads of notes that we're putting down for the World Cup of Pool to make it a more enjoyable event for everyone tuning in, and for the players as well. So it's, even though we're adding all these events onto the roster, and yes, we've got the European Open, we want to try and evolve the events that we've currently got, because we're learning so much from these new events that we're doing. You know, Premier League Pool, we've just learned that running 2 tables next to each other isn't the end of the world. Like, it's really great. Like listening to you two say, you know, I've got an iPad here for table 2, and on my TV I've got table 1.
Just screens everywhere.
Screens everywhere. And it was really good to see that, you know, so many people on social media were plugging their 2 screens, and it was fantastic. So we raised the question of, well, why don't we do that on other events? Obviously, we haven't done it before because we don't dilute our audience and take them away from table 1 and the main broadcast. So it's trying to find the right tournament to do it with. So there's just loads of like thoughts that are flying around to try and involve the events that we currently have. So yeah, it's just kind of, the world's our oyster with it, really. We're just going to keep trying until we find things that are, you know, that really, really work. We're never happy with an event when we come away from it. We're never 100% happy. You know, we've always got to improve, and there's so many things that we need to improve on.
Yep.
I just got 2 more questions for the World Cup of Pool, if I can.
Mm-hmm.
Does GB stay GB, or do you split them up into the home nations again in order to create more countries?
I'm keeping them GB until I see more British players playing on the events, which I think the UK Open will only help that. So for this year, it's GB. Next year, I want to see it split, because I've got a funny feeling we're going to see some new up-and-coming players coming through the UK and the European Open.
Okay. Second question. You've already got like so many events throughout the year now. Would it not then be an idea, if players coming from these far countries, coming for a 1 race to 7, if you want to keep the World Cup of Pool as the same format, to just straight after it have another one of your events where those players would then be there anyway, and then it's more worthwhile them coming over for a 2-week period to play a double
UK Open.
So greedy, aren't you? Just want another event here, there, and everywhere.
It's not another event. It's just 2 joined onto each other, which then makes coming to the World Cup of Pool not such a pain in the
backside.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. And I think when we have more events than 1 a month, then that's definitely something that we can think about. Obviously, there's only so much control we can have over the sporting calendar, but the idea is to have one event a month with the events that we've got. We don't want to sandwich them together.
You are the sporting calendar now.
Huh?
You are the sporting calendar now, as far as pool.
I know, I forgot.
Can I point out there, Jim?
Other people need to watch out for what you're doing and then adjust their schedule. Surely that's how it goes, being top, no?
I think I saw an event was clashing with us as well, and it's just madness.
Yeah, but then you're an idiot. Then you're a very poor promoter if you're doing that, then, aren't you? Really?
Well, I think we all know who's going to lose out when that happens. So more
unless it's a BG10, of course. You know, then we will.
Shut up, Jim. Can I just point out that Emily stated when we have more than one event a month?
Yeah, no.
Can I just point, like, I don't want that to be like swept under the rug. Can I just point that out that she said when we have more than one event a month?
Bloody hell! I'll go and jump off my balcony. I don't think it's any secret. That's obviously the aim. That I keep throwing the word around tour. You know, Barry speaks about tour. You know, that's the word that we keep using. And you know, that's what we want to launch. So we don't want to run before we can walk, obviously. But the idea is to create a tour, and I like to think that we will accomplish that. There's, you know, things that we need to do first, and there's things that we need to get in line. But there will be a Nineball tour, and we'll be the ones to push it.
Perfect. Well, let's go back to the PLP really quickly, because we haven't talked super in depth about that yet.
No.
Walking away from that event, what do you think you at Matchroom need to do better for next year, or what are you looking to improve upon, add to? Basically, what are your takeaways to make it better next year?
Yeah, it's so tricky with that event, because when we do the snooker and we do, you know, like Championship League snooker, we're very happy with the product that we dish out as such, and we come away and we go, yeah, you know, that works. We'll tweak a few things here, but it's a really successful event, and it doesn't need to dramatically change. It's behind closed doors. It doesn't need to be open to spectators. So we launched Championship League Pool last year, and the reason why we did it was obviously in COVID, and it was a format that worked well, that was behind closed doors. We did it off of the back of our Championship League snooker event. So our costs were cut by 25% just by following the snooker. So, you know, we launched this new event. We noticed the format didn't work for the international players, and pool is international players. So we changed the format to make that work. We increased the prize money because we felt that 84 or 86 wasn't big enough. And still you come up and I doubled the production money that we spent from last year. Like, we doubled the money that we spent on production. And I still come away from this event, I'm like, no, it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. And I don't know whether it's just pool, because obviously I love it, but we have to manage expectations with our events as well. We were able to launch Championship League Pool last year because of the way we did it. Now, if I launched Championship League Pool the way that we televise the World Pool Masters, and to that scale of production, we wouldn't have been able to do it. We wouldn't have, you know, I couldn't have done it. We wouldn't have had the budget to do it. So it's trying to manage those expectations. I actually think that the production is lacking by not having like commentators on table 2. But on the other side, when you have commentators on table 2 that we saw at Championship League snooker, well, also you find you don't go to table 2 enough on your main production. So some of the people who don't have access to table 2 can't see table 2. They can't see what's going on. So the idea to open up both tables was obviously to give you the overall event feel, and so you could see both of them. But I do agree, people were tuning in for table 2 because they were different matchups, and you kind of need to see it. So, you know, the commentators are sitting there, but I know, I mean, I can figure it out in 5 seconds in my head as to how much more money on a production, not even paying the commentator, on a production level. Again, you know, I'll be totally transparent about it. We asked Niels Fine to come and commentate in the event. He's focusing on trying to earn his ranking points. He's trying to focus on actually making the Mosconi Cup this year. And taking 8 days out to commentate, obviously, didn't work for that. And I respect that. And in an ideal world, I'd rather have 2 lead commentators and 2 color commentators. Because sometimes when Phil and Michael were together, I was literally like this, like banging my head against the wall, because, and you can't expect Carl to commentate 12 matches in one day. There's only so much we can work in. Like, we don't have manned camera operators. We've got robotic cameras, and I think that works, but maybe a director that works in pool, or the graphics, like there's so much of the production, then all of a sudden it starts going bang, bang, bang of all these little things. So for me, it's coming away, understanding what we added to the production this year, which was like editorial, the interviews, like the different replays and closers, openers, that's the Matchroom style. That's what we bring to the table. So there are the idea of fans as well. Obviously it works for Championship League snooker to be behind closed doors, and we never think about bringing fans in. Doesn't work. But maybe I underestimate the fans for the pool side, because the thing is, it costs us more money to get fans in an event like that if you're not actually going to get them in there. I mean, the room we were in is quite small, and to open it up, it's the security, and then all of a sudden you lose that relaxed atmosphere from the players. So maybe there's something that we create where from stage 2 we allow fans in, which was on my notes the last month of possibly opening up, but we weren't ready for it. And I think we would have done it just as on the whim, and we wouldn't have been ready to bring in fans for that event. So I do think that spectators is a key thing for the Premier League. But what I would like to see, and which I haven't seen, and it was the World Cup of Pool. Every time we've done the World Cup of Pool, we just never get anyone in there. And you literally slave away at trying to sell tickets, and you can't comp tickets because you don't know who's going to turn up. So you spend all this money on security being there based on 500 people that have so-called bought a ticket, but they haven't. They've got a comp ticket. And I'm talking like 4 years back when I first came on the scene. You didn't know who was going to come in, but people don't come to these events. Who's going to come to a pool event on a Tuesday afternoon from 10 or 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if I'm going to sit there and I'm going to build a seating infrastructure and get security there for 3 people to sit in the audience, it's not cost effective. No. So it's really tricky to kind of find that balance. Like the World Championship, I think we'll do really well with the tickets there, because it's a total different style event. It's going to be sort of US Open vibe. You can go in between the tables, and then final day you can get into the big seating banks. We're including a VIP ticket for hospitality. But these World Cups, the Whirlpool Masters and the Premier League, I don't see the ticket sales coming in for us to warrant, making a big change and getting spectators in. But I do agree. I mean, I sat in that arena myself, and I come out and I turn around to the players and I went, I don't know how you do that. I said, it's horrible in there.
Even if it's just a case of, I mean, yeah, selling tickets is difficult, but it's also for the production side of it, for the camera. If there's people that are dotted around, and even if it's just in standing tables, it creates a little bit of an atmosphere, and it's a background noise, which players are used to as well. So the players won't suffer from it because they never play in silence, really.
No, I know. And, the snooker players are used to playing in silence, exactly. But then as long as you've got something constant going. But look, I totally agree. I went in and sat, and I wish I had gone and sat in sooner, but I've obviously just had a lot of things going on with the production that I was trying to sort out. But it was horrible in there, and I do, I did say to the players, it is in a very nice atmosphere in there. We did say to the players that if you want to bring guests along, you're more than welcome to.
if it's a case of saying to each player, each of you can bring 4 people to be like your support group or whatever.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
anytime there's a match going on, at least you've got people at the side. It's not costing them anything. You wouldn't need the security really, because it should be 4 people that are trusted by the player and, you know, that are not going to be, you know.
Well, yeah, but we did do that to the players. We said, look, you can have 2 guests along if you want more. You know, I'm sure we can cater to it.
Yeah.
But you don't know. Like I can't not have security on that because it's
No,
just...
okay, but you wouldn't need a massive.
No, of course. But we
as soon as they see Brownie walking around, they're going to.
Yeah,
they're all pretty quiet.
I agree. The spectators was really missing from the Premier League, and I think it just works so well with the Championship League snooker. But it's not to say that that's what works for the pool. So I take that on board, and it's something that we should definitely look at for moving forward.
I will say that's kind of a double-edged sword though too, because I don't remember what the event was last year, but there was an event that you guys had it was COVID related, and there was fans able to come in for like just the last day, and there was maybe
the World
might have been it.
Yeah,
and like the cameras kind of panned the crowd, and it was okay, but like there's every now and then you'll just see like there's like 6 or 7 people there, and they're just sitting there like typing into their phones, and there's only like 10 people in the room, and you got like 6 of them just staring at their phones, like with a glass of beer in front of them. It just that looks kind of weird though too, and you have, you know, that kind of atmosphere.
Yeah, and so maybe there's a compromise of, you know, coming in from stage 2 and making sure that it looks packed or something like that. We just need to be creative on the design. So
you have to invite the correct people to come and create an atmosphere for you.
Oh gosh, no, I get it. Look, that's why I went and sat out there myself, because I felt for the players when table 2 wasn't happening. It felt very tough in there. So look, I get it, and that's why we sit out there and we try. You know, that's the good thing about Matchroom is we don't put the event on and just sit back and go, right, okay, on to the next. We watch, we see what's going wrong, we see what works, and we make notes and we change it for moving forward. So I totally get it. You know, it was very flat in there. So there's a few things that I would do next time to try and change it. But I've got so many plans for the Premier League, like how do we make it into the Premier League darts? So I hope that in a couple of years' time, we're not even talking about this, because we've already sold out 16 different venues at, I don't know, 1,000 capacity. So we got a lot of plans for it, but sometimes we just don't want to go boom before we kind of, you know, got there, sort of thing. So just be patient, bear with us. 9 times out of 10, the stuff that the fans aren't happy about, we're not happy about either. It's just, you know, not everything can be the Mosconi Cup.
Well, speaking of selling out capacity immediately, how about the UK Open?
Oh my God.
Can I ask one question before we go on to the next event?
Yes.
Just as far as the commentating goes, is it not in a mutually beneficial? I mean, there are people coming up through the industry just now that are setting up their own YouTube channels, their own whatever that are doing, you know, probably maybe low budget kind of commentary on events that are going on, who are maybe looking for a foot up, you know, looking for the experience. That, I mean, I liken it a little bit to Ryanair. Ryanair don't pay their pilots. The pilots just fly in order to get their hours so they then can move on to something, you know, and build up their CV. I mean, I know it would be difficult to, you know, you wouldn't want just anybody, but these are people that would be more than happy on a YouTube stream on a table 2 to provide the commentary if it's up to some sort of standard. It wouldn't cost you anything. It would build up their CV as well and be mutual beneficial. Is that not something that could be looked into in the future? And people can just switch it off if they don't like it. I mean, it's quite simple, really.
Well, you just said it there. People switch it off; they don't like it, and that's
something. I mean, mute it. You know?
I mean,
the
moment we compare a Matchroom event to Ryanair, no.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean, it's a mutual benefit. You both win of it. They build up their CV, and you get something at a cost neutral.
Yeah. Look, do you know what? I totally get what you're saying, and I'll be totally honest with you. It's unless you're in the elite, I don't want to put our brand to it. So
No joking.
I agree with that.
Look, I totally get it, and
Yep.
I understand, and it's same on the referees. Unless you come in and work as a score official, there's never really any way that you can step forward. So, but there's a way for the referees to do that via a score official. I mean, look at Rob Spencer. He was marking, our main events for 18 months. All of a sudden, he's tournament directing because he just showed that he had initiative, and he worked so many hours, the same as the Matchroom crew, and he's obviously very he's an extremely intelligent bloke, and he's taken it on. But on the commentary side, the thing that I'm working on at the moment is an official Nineball punditry team, and I want to make sure that that is the elite team. So I don't want to put anyone out there that, I'd hate to have to pull someone off of a production because they're not good as a commentator wise, but maybe that's what the other events are for, gain your experience. And if I tune into one of the other events and I like what I hear, then you'll be getting the call up to come to the Matchroom.
Okay, that would be my next question. If there are people out there who think they can do as good a job, how would they go about proving this to Matchroom? How would they go about connecting with Matchroom in order to put themselves into that situation?
Well, I'd say get onto the other events, but the problem is that there's no events really on TV at the moment. So, so it's kind of a chicken and egg scenario. But I would suggest sending in show reels to, info at Matchroom just to try and get that foot in the door. But it's such it's a risk for us to take to just shove someone on a commentary that we're not too familiar with. I mean, look how long Carl has been doing it, and he's only just really sort of getting there, and that's us putting a lot of work and a lot of support into it. So it's a very big brand, and it's something that I'm really, really particular about, and I want to make sure that we're the best of the best. So that's why on that side. But I get what you're saying, and I've taken it on board, definitely.
I agree with that, though. I think bad commentary just cheapens any event that I've watched a lot of amazing matches that was just completely ripped apart by the commentary, to the point where I don't want to watch pool on mute. If I'm going to watch pool, I want to watch everything. I want the audio. I want the ball slap in the back of the pockets.
Nate, I was trying to
get us in. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I know how to do it if I want to, and it's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of grinding, and it's going to take a lot of blah blah blah. I'm not good enough for it. Carl, Niels, they're good enough for it. He's good enough.
I got to say, as much as I really hope he's not listening to this, and I hope he doesn't listen to it. I think he's I think he's fantastic in there. I think the way he goes about it now, and he's if I look at every event, he just, like you said, he's grown into it.
Yeah.
And I personally, no offense, I personally think he's the star of the show in that commentary box. If you take the how do you say, the mainstay, the main three, I think he steals the show. I think he's very good. So I hope he's not listening, because he'll be messaging.
His head will be so big, won't it?
He's very good at what he does.
I'm just getting my laptop charged. This is really embarrassing. I don't want my battery to go. Hang on.
You're all good. So, Jim, you're actually signed up for the UK Open, right? You got one of those spots?
I have one of the spots in the UK Open, yes.
Wow. How are you going to do?
My first objective is to actually get there in the first place. I got to take some time off work. I've got a fresh baby in the other room there as well, and so I need to square it all with the family and everything. But if it's at all possible, then I will be there, and I'll have my cues with me, and we'll have a go at it. And hopefully Emily's is friendly enough not to put me on the TV table, so I don't embarrass myself in front of the millions of people watching.
Emily, how much do I have? How much do I have to sponsor an event for to get them on there?
If I get a Shane or a Jason, then I'll just might have to just add them to my list of victims.
Yeah.
How much do I have to sponsor the event to get him on the TV table?
I need at least $1 million if I need to put Jim on the TV table.
Even $1 million. Nobody's ever paid $1 million into pool, so they're not going to do it.
Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
No, except from us. Sorry, except from us.
Not one goal.
That's just 10% of what we've put in.
Yeah. So Emily,
I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be great. I'll be interested to hear what the setup's going to be for that.
Yeah, full field 256.
You too. My main question is this double table arena thing going to be something that continues?
Yeah, sorry, there's so many different floor plans we've got floating around at the moment. But one thing that we're really trying to do is make our open events consistent across the format. So you know that when you're turning up on day 4, you know how many tables you've got. So it's the same kind of format across it all. You know that you're going to get that kind of seating, and it's got the same design, but every event has its own little spin on it. So you're not just tuning into the same thing all the time, but you know what the format is. You know how many tables you're getting down to. You know where you can find the scores. You know where you can go and watch certain elements. Obviously, we're never going to have one camera set up at every table. You know, we're promoting the sport, and we wouldn't dilute our audience like that. But I like the 1 and 2 table option. I also think that we need to have graphics on table 2. You know, it was great that we pushed table 2 at the US Open last year, and the World Pool Championship last year was quite a last minute thing, but we had no graphics on it. So it's all certain elements that we need to put into play, but again, it all costs money. And at a point when we're pushing so much prize money into a year, it's kind of hard to add those other elements. But look, we've made it quite clear we're putting a huge investment into the Nineball brand right now. So if we're not going to do it now, we're never going to do it. So yeah, sell out in 30 minutes. That was pretty exciting and interesting. We obviously held a few spots back there's people like El Strickland, there's like Oscar Dominguez, a lot of American players that are sitting on the waiting list who this is how sad I am. I've got a print out of the actual list, a print out of the waiting list. And we want to make sure that obviously, we're telling the players they need to get onto the Mosconi Cup through ranking points. But if they can't actually make our ranking events, then how else are they going to be able to do it? So I'm just figuring out, there's been a few refunds of certain things. So just trying to figure those out before we can actually get the official invites out to the players that have potentially missed the opportunity. One thing we're really struggling with is getting players' email addresses. Everything is all being done on Facebook message, and it's driving me round the bend that we don't have like email addresses, we don't have telephone numbers. Everything is on Facebook message, and it's just so.
You must then be talking about the top guys, because when I took my entry, I had to give my email address in, so I got my confirmation via email. So you must be talking about the elite players who are maybe don't have to fill this out, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And we email players, we don't get responses. So you find I don't care. I don't care.
Responses.
I've got a job to do at the end of the day. I'm not spending half of my time or the team's time chasing people down on Facebook Messenger. Like, I'm saying it now. We are not chasing anyone down on Facebook Messenger. You don't reply to your email. You don't pick up the phone. That is it. Like, the snooker players and darts players, they have an entry system. And you have until this day to enter the event. And if you don't, you miss out. Like, these are like the invitational events, for instance. And so that's what we're going to be doing moving forward. But the UK Open, we wanted to ensure that it was open to everyone, but we've got players like the American players who can obviously use this as a platform to showcase for their Mosconi Cup. So we will be publishing a full sort of list as to who's on it. And we're still trying to work, obviously, the logistics of how it's going to look and how the design is. Obviously, that's all very, very exciting.
But I guess 32 tables, and there will be public allowed in from day one, or?
Yeah, public from day one. We're still actually looking at the table number and the format at the moment. But yeah, public in straight away. I want it to be buzzing in there. I want people to be walking around at the table, and you can literally get this close to the atmosphere.
The US Open was amazing like that.
Yeah, and that's
awesome.
That's what we want to create.
That is cool.
All of our open events. Exactly, that is cool. This isn't snooker, and we're going to come away from that sort of atmosphere, you know, where it's just silence. It needs to have that pool dynamic where it is a buzzy room with everyone everywhere and just, you know, breaks happening. And yeah, I'm just I'm really excited about the event, but also very, very nervous. I mean, it's the first time we're doing it.
And
so
who will be the table provider?
Diamond Tables, Diamond Billiards will be doing
Okay.
the tables. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. And you mentioned the players list. I did actually investigate a little bit, and I saw there was 235 names that were available for us to see on the website.
Oh, well,
so
see,
21 names. Is that 21 announcements, or is that just 21 places that just haven't been filled yet, or are you waiting, holding them back for players that are still?
Exactly that. I mean, we had snooker players coming into Premier League pool because obviously the European Masters started on Monday, and we had the snooker players coming in, and they were like, "Can we get into? We're on the waiting list. Can we get in yet?" And we're like, "Hang on a second. We're just like, we have you down on the waiting list, and we're trying to do the waiting list on first come first serve as well, which we have all of that noted down." So, yeah, those spaces, those spots are just, you know, left to be filled. So we won't have any problem of any walkover matches or anything like that. It's definitely going to be filled to the max.
And
guess what, Jim?
Are you sticking to are you sticking to the 4-inch pockets, or are you going to make them a little bit easier for the outside tables and for people like me?
No, like, I think that if,
on a diamond, that's a bit different from 4-inch.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit rascal, isn't it? And we wouldn't do anything to the outside tables without doing it to the TV table. The way I feel about things is that if you've got a shot clock on one table, it has to be on all of them. I don't agree with, you know, just changing one table because you're a big name. Yeah. No, it's unfair to that person that you've also drawn. You know, Jim's like, not to devalue you, but if you drew Shane Van Boning and all of a sudden you're on table one with shot clock, tight pockets, but if you drawn someone else and you're on table two and you're on different style pockets and no shot clock, you're in a different ball game. So
so it will be 4-inch diamonds then?
Exactly the same as US Open.
Don't know what that was. They were bigger. They were 4.25, I think. 4.25.
4.25.
That's a bit more. That's for a diamond table. That's a bit. Yeah, that's still tight.
It's still rascal.
So,
yeah, it is. All right.
Of the players that are public, guess whose name is not on there, Jim? I'll give
Judd
you
Trump.
one hint.
Judd Trump.
No.
Jason Shaw.
Kachi's not on here.
I know.
He must have missed the deadline. He must not have said it. He didn't set it as alarm, I guess.
I contacted Jason last week and says, "Listen, I'm looking through this list of the UK Open, and I'm not seeing your name on it." And he goes, "I says, are you sure you're playing?" He says, "Of course I'm playing. I just haven't registered yet." I said, "Oh, that's okay for you. The rest of us are on waiting lists and everything, and you just rock up 2 days before and say, I'll be there."
That's what happens when you're top 10 in the rankings.
There's got to be a difference somewhere, doesn't there? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess that's. We don't want to hold you too long. I know you've been working like crazy, busy, long hours for the last like 8 days, but you have another big announcement happening on Thursday and Friday. Would you like to plug that here?
Oh gosh, do I even need to? I think like our inbox is going mental with tickets. I know, and I say rascal again. It's a bit of a naughty setup as well. We're trying to, obviously Vegas has always been that horseshoe design. We always felt like we always stuck with, and I don't know why, we always stuck with like 1,000 seating in Vegas. But now, like I feel like the American audience are getting a lot more engaged than what they have done before, and I'm not sure why. I think the turning point was 2019, or maybe when they started, when they saw them take the cut back in 2018. They were a lot more vocal in 2019, which was extremely exciting, and I loved that. So the plan for the Moscone this year, obviously, it's the elite event, so ticket price is going to be different to how they are at all of our other events. We've introduced a new couch. I say couch because couch is the American style, not like sofa or settee. So, so people can, buy like a gold ticket and have the upgrade of like a couch. So the way that the design is in the arena is you're directly behind the players, for instance. So you can now, the designs and the tech has just developed. When you used to buy a Moscone Cup ticket, you didn't really know where you're sitting. You kind of got allocated your seat, whereas you'll have your seating map. You'll be able to choose where you can go. Even if you have a VIP ticket, your seat gets allocated there. So, fees are slightly higher when we go to America, of course, and, we see that, and it's quite tough to look at that, but we've tried to, try and remain in balance with what we've charged before and what Vegas shows are like, and, what gets added on. And also we tried to secure a Bally's hotel rate for everyone. And I will say, when I did the site visit, the one thing that I'm loving about Bally's is you're all there in this one property. And so it's linked to Paris, but you walk into Bally's and I want that whole gaff, just Moscone Cup everywhere. So you're there and it is the home of the Moscone Cup. Sometimes you can get a bit lost in the bigger casinos, whereas the convention space is literally just the Moscone. So you're walking from the casino, and as soon as you step into the convention bit, you're straight into the Moscone. You've got, your bars to get in, you've got the VIP hospitality, then you get into the arena and you're all there on one site. And if you're staying there, I want to brand like one of the bars, like a Moscone Cup bar sort of thing. So it is that elite event. We're going to be pushing 2,000 seats for it. I'm very confident that we will sell it out, just because I just feel like everyone's just been locked up for so long and want to get to
only
Vegas.
2,000?
I think it's going to go crazy. I think it's going to sell.
It's a circle design. So everyone's going to be like, sort of thing like that. It caters for 2,500. And to be totally honest with you, there's, a few production holes where I want to put the commentators, certain sightline issues. So, if it gets to a point where we've sold out and we can look at sightlines and getting another couple of hundred in there, we have the option to do it. So, we've done that. But the design is really cool. Like, I'm so excited to see what this sofa seat is going to be like, because you're high enough to not let the referees block you, but you're in it enough to be just behind the players and to be seeing all the action from a totally different perspective. So,
So the players will be back in the crowd this year?
No, in a different way.
Oh,
Similar, similar to Alexandra Palace.
Similar to ours. Okay, they have their own little platform area kind of thing. Okay, yeah. I had a question. I mean, you know that I generally do a group thing every year. There's a question that came up.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody wants to book, I mean, we just sort of book for the full session thing. If somebody was to book for the 4 days for gold, but they wanted one day to be VIP, is that even possible to do that?
I hope so. But what I would suggest is the team. There's an email address for the team for any group bookings or anything like quirky like that, for instance. So, and they're actually really, really helpful, and they're really on hand. Obviously, they're Vegas hours. That's why we've tried to go on sale as late as possible. I'd suggest sending them an email, which we can send out on our website and we can publish on our social media.
I personally think this is going to sell out real quick. I think
I
that a lot. The buzz I hear from the American fans is they're all saying Vegas, Vegas, Vegas. I can't wait. We're going to Vegas. We're going to Vegas. So I think this one will sell out pretty quick, I think.
Yeah, and I think. Oh, look, there you go. There's the.
I got it.
Oh, perfect. There you go.
Group sales, Diesels.com. Okay. No, Paul, I'm not upgrading you to VIP.
Oh God, that VIP ticket. Oh my God. So we're just, we've been brainstorming ideas. Phoebe's in the team. She's now done the Moscone Cup VIP, but she's gone to the darts. She's gone to a boxing. She's gone to the snooker, and she's seeing what quirky things that she can be doing for the VIPs. So it's something that we really take a lot of pride in for the Moscone Cup. We want to make sure that everyone experiences, that event in a different way. So I'm excited for this year's event. It's strange that it's literally in December and we're sitting here in February, but it's going to come along so quick. Hopefully we'll get some announcements rolling out soon.
I guess I could throw up the information that you have for it. This is the seating arrangement.
Yeah.
And those up at the top middle, you can see the gold couch and the VIP couch is what you were referring to.
Yeah.
Okay, so the bluey grey area, that's where all the players will be sitting and everything. That's
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very
so a full circle. Yeah, very good. Oh, I know where
pre-sale goes up in I guess 2 days, and the general sale goes in 3 days.
Yep. And then and then I think it's like the month of ticket sales. So hope everyone saved up any January sort of paychecks. Our World Pool Masters tickets just went on sale last weekend, and the World Pool Championship tickets go on sale on Monday. I mean, you can literally come for the whole session for like, I think it works out like 15 to 20 quid a day or something. So, it's a really good rate at MK. So I would say come along for the week. It's going to be quite an elite field.
And the World Championships, 128 players.
Yeah.
How is that being filled? I know that last year it was filled. COVID again. It was filled with
whoever could play.
Players. There was a bit of a scrape to get players. How will the 128 players be filled?
So 50 allocations go to the WPA, and then the idea moving forward is that the top 64 come off of the rankings. Obviously, we've only got 40 at the moment, so we'll be putting 40 from the rankings, and the remaining will be wildcards or based on other federations. So it's a bit tricky because our rankings aren't quite structured yet. However, it's going to be a lot more of the best, I think, for this year.
It's just around the corner, so you must be close to completing the field already, are you?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we can't complete it until we get the allocations through from the federation. So I think it's cool because, all this information is like on our website. If you go and, really have a dig around, and it's just cool that it's, out there and it's quite transparent as to how people get in, sort of thing. And I guess if it's not there, it just hasn't been decided yet. So it's just, everything seems to be just getting a bit more structured, a bit more organized, and a bit more professional, which is exactly the direction that we're obviously trying to push the sport into.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that covers everything that I wanted to discuss today.
I got just one more question. You've been in the pool industry a while. You've watched a lot of matches now, and you've obviously, we saw you on the television in the corner there watching the final and the semi-finals and throughout the week.
And we saw you smash a break.
And we saw you. You parked that cue ball right in the middle of the table. That was quite good. That was pretty good. It wasn't the worst break I saw all week, I have to say. But now that you've spent all this time around the players, there's got to be somebody that you actually support while these events are on.
Ooh, do you have a favorite player?
I've got my favorite. I've got the one that I always support in these events, or the 2 or 3. Nate's got his. Emily Frazer is a fan of
the sport. No, that's such a shit.
Yeah, that's a cop out.
There's, you know what? It's you have certain players that come to the events, and you're like, you just laugh the whole time. I mean, Naoki's brilliant. You get the Skylar Woodward who walks past and he just drops like really random comments. So obviously it's strange to like a British person sort of thing. But I mean, they're all such fantastic characters. And that's one thing that's like, I find it so frustrating because we don't have those characters across to the viewers yet. But there's so many great people in the sport, and you are rooting for particular players, but there's quite a big pool of them. I can't even tell you who a favorite would be, because you just want them to win, because you see the passion, and you see, I could see how distressed Jason Shaw was at the end of that day 6, and I could see that he had so many demons, and like everything was like an issue. Like, there were certain things that were winding him up, and it was just because he wanted to win so badly. And you want that win for them So it's not like you have like a main one that you want to win. You just kind of watch the match and you feel whoever deserves it. I guess so. But yeah, I really, honestly, I don't even.
Okay, so the Matchroom CEO wants it just wants somebody to win. Who does Emily? Come on, you know, are you for the home team? You know, are you looking for a Brit to win it? Are you looking for an American to win it? I mean, you've got
no, me personally, I've always been very, very clear about my. I always want Team USA to get the Mosconi Cup back. Like that's clear as day, because there's something different about the American audience. There's something when the Americans win the Mosconi, it's like every member on that team are so patriotic, and that's what I love. I love that they will all come together in a certain way. Like I always want, I'll be totally honest, I always want Team USA, because I always feel that they all come together in a totally different manner that I've never seen the teams come together before. Europe have such strong individuals. And then when you look at Premier League pool, for instance, you got a lot of the Europeans in there, right? But as soon as it comes to an individual event, they're all up against one another. But you go to the Premier League pool and you've got Shane and Skylar, and you know, Shane will come off the table and go, so like, what position is Skylar in? Like, how's he getting on? It's a different dynamic. Do you see what I mean? And that's what I like.
They play for their country. Team Europe.
Yeah, I love that.
It is a different feeling. It's a different feeling. Yeah.
I love it. So I've always been quite open about on that side of things with the Mosconi Cup, but I always just want what's good for the. And you're saying what Emily wants, but you forget. I mean, you literally cut me open, and the blood will run Matchroom pool. That's just what lives inside me now. I want what's best for the tournament, and if I can see 2,000 screaming American fans wanting that cup back, and I want America to win. So if we're sitting at the World Pool Championship, and you've got a load of Jason Shaw fans screaming his name, and he's gone from the loser's side, or he's just crushed the tournament and he's in beast mode. I want him to win. Do you see what I mean? So there are the different sides of it. Like I'd love like an Naoki Oi to win one of our events, because he does these great interviews and he goes viral because of his character. He's also an absolutely phenomenal pool player, and he deserves to, he's good enough to win a tournament. So there are so many that you kind of want to win. So yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't think I'll ever have one favorite. You'll never get it out of me.
That means she does. She's just not going to say
it. No, I don't. It's impossible. It's impossible.
It all depends on the tournament and the lead up to it, right? All right, Emily. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And set your alarm clock. Don't be a Kachi. Set your alarm clock for those tickets going on sale on Saturday.
What? It's on Thursday.
Friday. It's on Thursday for me. And don't forget, the time that's on the flyer is PST, which is Pacific Standard Time, I believe, or Pacific Time. So you're going to have to recalculate for UK time and American time. I think it's 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock, or 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the evening. So don't get that wrong.
Don't get it wrong. Just literally wait for the.
Today's Tuesday, isn't it?
Today's Tuesday. I don't know what you're banging on about.
I thought it was Wednesday.
2 days.
I thought it was Wednesday.
2 days. This time in 2 days, it'll be sold out.
And go to matchroompool.com and sign up for the newsletter that allows you to sign up sooner.
A day earlier. Exactly. Yeah. Join the Matchroom Club. You can get your chance to get in a day earlier. You're a little bit silly if you don't do that, and you have to wait another day, because you might not have an extra day to get them.
Exactly. Right. I'm going to go and have a face mask, a bath, and I'm going to go chill out. So it's been.
I think I might go for a face mask as well. Emily, thanks very much. Congratulations on a great event. Really enjoyed it. But all right.
Take care, everyone.
See you later.